Hi, I'm Dr. Jay Sutliffe for Optimize for Life, health educator and registered dietitian. Today we're going to talk about a topic that I think you'll like. What we're going to call it today is optimizing circulation with fork, spoon, and lifestyle. I was reading recently and ran across this quote I'd like to read. It says, "The healthy action of the respiratory organs assist the circulation of the blood. It invigorates the whole system, excites the appetite, promotes digestion, and induces sound, sweet sleep, not only refreshing the body, but soothing and tranquilizing the mind." And I got to thinking about that. If all of these benefits come from better circulation, what are some of the lifestyle habits, some of the foods we can eat that we can assure that we have good circulation? So I'm going to go through some lifestyle habits, some tips, and we'll do some food preparation. I'm going to bring Chloe in, and she's going to do some different foods like smoothies and salads and so forth. But first, let's look at the principles. The number one thing we want to look at when we're looking at improving the circulation in the body is that we want to make sure that we're well hydrated at all times. So the way I'd like to explain this is that the minute you get up in the morning, you should start drinking fluids, just plain water if you can, maybe at room temperature. Some people don't like it like that, so maybe want it a little bit chilled, but getting up and using room temperature fluids to consume them and start circulating the blood, and because you've been fasting and it might be slightly dehydrated from sleeping, and so you get up in the morning, you start drinking water. Some people like to put a little lemon in there, some flavoring, maybe some herbal tea, but just plain water works best. And so you actually begin boosting the circulation. And then remember, your blood's been filtered all night long, and so that your liver and your kidneys have been taking toxins out of the blood. So when you start adding water into the system, it also stimulates your kidneys to start cleansing the filtration system in your kidneys out. It stimulates the liver to release more toxins and the bile and so forth like that. So then we're going to try to stimulate the bowels to release for a bowel movement, and then also to clean out the bladder and the kidney. So the first thing is look at plenty of fluids to keep the urine pale. That's the first thing we want to look at. The second thing we want to look at is how we're sitting and how we're standing. We want to make sure that when we're sitting or standing, that we want to have the shoulders back, and that we're actually breathing more deeply with the diaphragm and from down deep in the abdominal region rather than shallow breathing. So we sit up erect, okay, good posture, and then it keep us breathing, and so we get oxygenation into the blood, and circulation improves that way. That's something that goes right with that is that we actually make sure that we're actually doing some resistance training and some weightlifting at least a couple times a week, where we're strengthening the muscles of the upper back, shoulders, hips, the legs, and so that we actually aren't slouching because of muscle imbalances or muscle weaknesses. So we're making sure that we're staying properly erect. Okay, remember, we're upright human beings, and that's the way we want to stand. We want to keep our heads up. We're breathing deeply, making sure we're getting plenty of fluids in between meals, getting the blood circulation. All this is going to work in harmony to help the blood circulation increase. The next thing we want to look at is when we're putting on clothing. We want to try to minimize how many restrictive types of clothing we're wearing, or bands or belts and things like that, because just having tight clothing on or things that might compress the organs would almost force us to breathe shallow. And so what we want to do is make sure that we're not doing anything. And the way to look at that is when you take your clothing off, do you have bands that were actually deep into making a divot or going into the skin? And that could be restricting the blood flow. So especially we want to look at, are we tight fitting around the waist, the chest, the abdominal region, things like that. But even when we get out into the extremities, are there tight bands and things like that, or maybe restricting the flow of blood? So again, plenty of fluids, standing erect, muscular strength, minimizing the imbalances, standing upright, the clothing, we're trying to minimize how many bands and restrictive things we have on there. Again, we're not only exercising for muscular strength, but we also want to get some vigorous exercise in where we're actually getting the heart rate up. We're actually perspiring. The body actually responds to the increased energy expenditure by possibly sweating and things like that, and that actually helps bring more blood to the surface to try to cool the skin. And so we want to make sure we're getting vigorous exercise, even if it's small amounts, frequently throughout the day, and you don't have time to do 30-40 minutes at one time. You could put in small amounts there. We want to pump the arms, get the blood circulating there, bringing it back to the heart and the lungs, and again, purifying the system. And the other thing we want to look at too is that we're looking at environmental toxins and pollutants. Maybe we live in an area where there's a lot of traffic or maybe fumes from vehicles. We want to make sure we minimize that. We also want to make sure that in our sleeping areas, in our working areas, that we're getting proper airflow and turnover. And sometimes we built our houses so tight that we're not getting a good turnover of oxygen. And so what we might want to do is open the windows just slightly at night or maybe during the day, whenever it works best for you, to try to get an exchange of ions in the sleeping chamber and where we work. Because a lot of times we'll see that sometimes we get lightheaded or we get drowsy because we're in a confined area where we're breathing and taking in the same air over and over again. And so we want to get an exchange of air. Make sure we're well ventilated in our areas, in our house, in our sleeping chambers, and things like that. The other thing we want to look at too is that we want to make sure that we're bathing daily. And that we're actually, when we bathe, we can actually use a vigorous rubbing motion. Sometimes people like to use those scour pads or those scratchy pads, which you put soap on and things like that. We want to make sure that we vigorously wipe the skin down and scrub the skin every day, and that we can actually use water on the outsides of our body. We're not only putting fluids in the body to get better circulation, but we can also use it on the outside of the body, almost like a massage technique. Using that with the soap sponges and things like that increases the circulation. And something that I really like to do that I find that really helps with my circulation is using what we call a contrast shower. Most of the time when we're showering, we like it nice and warm, and it kind of loosens up muscles and things like that. But also what we want to do is make sure that we're doing a contrast shower where we actually can change the temperature of the water, which actually helps push and pull the water push and pull the fluids in the body with the external water. And so what I like to do is go into a 3-to-1 cycle where you can go with 3 minutes of hot with 1 minute of cool or cold. And you can build up your tolerance at this. The first few times you try this may not be that pleasant when you don't think about taking a shower in cold water unless your water heater's out or your electricity's out or something. But so what we want to do is we want to end on the cold. And so what I've been doing recently is really getting it down as cold as I can go at the end of my shower and making sure that I turn around and get as much of my body exposed to that cold water. And it really invigorates you and really gets the blood going. And remember, the blood's trying to circulate on the inside of your body, trying to bring it to the surface and back to the organs and trying to warm it up. And so it really increases the circulation in the body. So those are some tips that we can do with our lifestyle. Now what we want to talk about a little bit is what about some foods? Now there's different herbs and spices and seasonings that we can do that can actually try to help improve our circulation, like some of the peppers and things like that we eat, and maybe some of the red pepper flakes and seasonings and things like that, cumin, and also some turmeric. We can use those types of foods, but we also look at some of the research that's going on right now. We see a lot of it going on with athletes. Athletes, maybe you've heard of this. There's a push right now, and the most researched food item is beets. And as I research this out and I look at it, what we're finding is that there's certain foods that have naturally occurring what we call nitrates. And that's usually been a negative connotation if you have nitrates in your water or in your food. And then we use them for food preservatives. Okay, now these naturally occurring nitrates actually get converted to nitric oxide in the body, which is actually a basal dilator, which opens up the vessels in the body. So there's been some research done, especially with athletes in performance, when they take beet juice before aerobic activity, it actually helps them get more oxygen to the tissues because it dilates or opens up the vessels. So as you look at this, beets are not necessarily the highest containing foods that have the nitrates in them that will actually be converted to nitrous oxide. When you really look at it, the king of the foods that can actually open up the vessels, be a basal dilator, are actually green leafy vegetables. So today, for our cooking demos, we're going to do a couple of different things with smoothies and with salads to show how we can get more greens in a real practical way. So now we're talking about optimizing circulation with fork, spoon, and lifestyle. We've covered the lifestyle. Now we're going to have Chloe come in and demonstrate how we can actually, in our daily food intake, get more greens in, which is going to actually help with the circulation, and we're going to have a greater mood, we're going to have better sleep, all these things by increasing our green leafies. So let's call in Chloe and she'll give us a demo.
Hi, this is Chloe for Optimize for Life, and today we're talking about increasing our circulation. And one of the ways to increase our circulation is with greens. So we're going to do an emphasis on greens. We're going to show you a few different ways to get more greens into your diet. So I want to start with a smoothie. We have as many different types of smoothies can be made as there are people. So individualize your smoothie. I'm just going to show you one way of doing it. I have about a half a cup of frozen strawberries here, and we do some frozen bananas, and we do about a banana and a half. But of course we have to leave room to get our top on. Now you can add different things to your smoothie. We're emphasizing greens today, and beets especially. So I'm just going to pack a few of the greens into our individual size blender bullets. That way each person can make their own type of smoothie they would like to do. You can even buy this mix where it comes already packaged for you. All you have to do is add your liquid. And you can add soy milk, what we're going to be using today. You can use almond milk, rice milk. You could even use juice if you wanted to. There's just so many different ways to personalize a smoothie. So we've got some greens in here. We're going to add a blended up seed mixture. We have flax seed, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, a few pumpkin seeds. We've blended them all up, and we're just going to add that. You can add chia seed to that as well. We're going to add a little bit of that. That just adds a little fiber to our smoothie. Now we're going to try to get about a cup of liquid into our blender. And sometimes it's kind of a contest at our house just to see how thick we can get our smoothie. So now I'm going to see if I can get my lid on with all these ingredients in here. You see, it's a trick to get it all in there. I'm going to move this out of the way. There we go. All right, we're ready to blend. All right, our smoothie is all ready. And as you can see, the greens have basically disappeared in with the fruit. And you probably won't even be able to taste it. It always depends upon how many greens you put in to your smoothie. Just put a few in, just kind of to add to your daily intake of greens. There you go. All right, I'm ready to enjoy this strawberry smoothie. Now we're going to look at additional ways to get greens in for meals. In a previous video, I showed you how to make just a basic salad. And I use a variety of greens. I get some of the spring mixes, some of the super green mixes, and I take and I mix that with romaine. And then I just like to top it with some carrots, shredded carrots, purple cabbage, and today I even have some jicama chunks in there. And that just is a nice way to have a base for your salad. You could add cucumbers into this, you could add cauliflower, broccoli, any number of things, and those things will last in your refrigerator for several days. So we want to start with a base. Now to this base, you can add so many other things. You can use like a hummus for a dressing, and we also showed that in a previous video of how to make hummus. You can use hummus, you can use peppers, you can use garbanzo beans, sunflower seeds, kidney beans, roasted almonds are really good. Add some avocado. These are all really great things that you can add to this salad that makes it very filling, and it can be your entree for your meal. You can put this in a to-go container and take it to work with you and have it all ready for yourself. Another thing that we really like at our house is I just take a plain piece of plastic wrap and then a flour tortilla. I'll take some of our hummus we've made and just spread that out onto our tortilla. Now we can take this whole salad and transfer it right onto our tortilla. And add some of these different flavors that we have out here. Some sunflower seeds, some kidney beans, roasted almonds, and a few peppers. And we have this nice salad heaped right on top of this tortilla. Then all you have to do is just press things together. Press it all together. And I kind of stuff in the extra pieces into the ends. Then I bring in the plastic wrap. Just fold it into a neat bundle, nice sandwich. You can take this to work with you, tear off the ends, push it down, and just eat it like a sandwich in a sense. Or you can cut it and you have a beautiful, beautiful meal all ready to eat. What a great way to add greens into your everyday life, and additional ways to add greens. They are very satisfying, very colorful, and very flavorful. You can add many different flavors to this, just as your palate desires.
Well, there we have it. We've now included the greens. We've added the fork and the spoon to optimizing our circulation. We covered the lifestyle habits where you want to drink plenty of fluids, get your posture proper, your breathing, your hot and cold treatments, all the different aspects, your exercise. All of these things are going to increase your circulation. We added the foods that are actually going to help basal dilate your vessel system. And all of these things working together. One little thing at a time doesn't seem like it's that big a deal, but just standing upright, getting air exchange in your room, and doing the contrast showers, all these different things, and having these constant supply of greens throughout the days, whether it's in a smoothie, in your lunch, maybe it's just green salads and a variety of other foods that you like together. So all these things working together work synergistically to help increase the blood flow, increase the circulation, opening up your vessels, and that you're going to be more alert, you're going to have better digestion, and you're going to sleep better. So there you have it, optimizing your circulation system with fork, spoon, and lifestyle habits. Good luck to you.